Right now, the city of Madison is meeting with West Side community members to talk about ways to keep last summer's flooding from happening again. And what police say is behind another rash of recent car thefts, including one caught on camera on Madison's east side. Plus, the Bucks are now on their way to the second round of the playoffs, a party tonight in Milwaukee, and we'll have highlights from the game straight ahead.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now at 10.
And thanks for joining us. Charlotte is off tonight. This is what it looked like last August along Lake Mendota after historic flooding hit the southern part of the state. Well, now the city of Madison is working on a plan to keep it from happening again. And Amy Reed joins us now to show us how they hope to do that. Amy?
The engineering division in the city is starting a series of meetings with the public to talk about the ins and outs of last year's flooding by focusing on these watersheds on the west side. Tonight, they talked to people in the Strickers-Mendota watershed, where they're still seeing signs of last August to this day.
The view from the front yard is what makes you want to move here, but being this close to water during a flood.
The water came up to a little past the tree here. I mean, the funny thing is, we saw people canoeing in our front yard.
Bill Martin has a good outlook on it, but that doesn't mean he wasn't affected. Water too full for the ground flooded his basement.
So that was probably the hardest part, was just losing things that, you have down in the basement, because it's a basement and that's where you store things.
But he's watched as things have gotten better, like when the path across the street opened again. But he's also seen things stay the same, like downstream at Tiedemann's Pond, where the boardwalk is still underwater. That's what concerns him. If the pond downstream can't take anymore, what happens if it rains like that again?
Data on where damage has occurred.
That's why he's glad for meetings like this. The city of Madison listening to their questions and getting input from people like him about how they could fix these watersheds.
We really want to solve it, and we want to solve it right, and we want to do it right, and we want to provide solutions that last for a long, 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 long time so that we don't ever have to deal with this again.
I think it's a good idea. I mean, it's nice to see that the city wants to know what, ideas, our concerns, etc., because sometimes no one ever listens to the people that get impacted by it enough.
Especially looking back, knowing how things could have been.
So looking back, it can always be worse. I mean, when you look at what some other people lost in other areas, we're somewhat lucky, even though the frustration of losing things, but it could certainly be worse.
The city is planning meetings like this for all of the watersheds. So if you live here, you'll get a chance to get your questions answered too. After that, the city will start to study these watersheds to figure out if a change in infrastructure or drainage pattern is needed. That will take time, of course, and we'll keep you updated as those plans develop.
All right, Amy Reed reporting. Now, Amy, thank you very much. The DNR is also keeping a close eye on the levee system. This along the Wisconsin River after noticing a small breach from the Caledonia levee near Portage. About 30 households along an 8-mile stretch of the levee road are still unable to go home tonight. That's despite the water receding a bit from yesterday. The DNR believes the river will go down about a half a foot overnight, but they can't say when the evacuation orders along Levee Road will be lifted. So let's see if any more rain is in our forecast. And for that, we turn to Chief Meteorologist Gary Canalti in our first alert forecast. Gary?
Eric, the heavier rain is winding down tonight. We'll probably see a couple of dry days before the next chance of rain moves in for Thursday. But just over the last 12 hours, showers and some heavy thunderstorms brought around an inch of rain in a narrow band from around Prairie du Chien to Lone Rock to just to the south and east of Wisconsin Dells, and then up toward the Fox Valley. Also, another area of heavier rain occurred from just east of Madison over toward Watertown. But outside of those two areas, you can see many locations had less than a quarter of an inch of rain, and over far southeastern Wisconsin, very little rain has fallen. As far as storm damage right now, just a couple of reports of pea-sized hail in Plain, Lone Rock, and Rock Grove down to the south in Greene County. High-resolution Doppler radar shows the heaviest thunderstorms between Janesville and Beloit heading into Walworth County, but some lighter rain showers head back toward the Dells. In fact, you put the radar into motion, you can see all the lightning pretty much confined to eastern Rock and Jefferson counties. High temperatures today climbing climbed into the mid to upper 70s through much of southern Wisconsin. Janesville topped out at 81, but Madison reached 77. But current temperatures have fallen off. We're at 55 here in Madison, even though Milwaukee's still at 71. The storms haven't reached them. And to the west, temperatures are down around 50. That's because winds are shifting to a northerly direction. So by tomorrow morning, look for temperatures to be in the upper 40s. Look for a cooler day tomorrow, but skies will turn sunny. Our high temperature topping out at 62. That's your News 3 Now First Alert forecast.
Gary, thank you. The widow of a Sun Prairie firefighter killed in last summer's downtown explosion is now being sued for allegedly failing to make payments for the tavern the couple owned. Ski and Ski LLC filed a suit against Abigail Bar earlier this month for $138,000. The lawsuit alleges the bars had entered into a 4-year agreement to purchase the bar house back in 2016, and it claims the payments stopped altogether on October 1st. But even before the July explosion, it says there were 22 late payments. We now know the name of the worker who died after falling several stories at an East Side construction site last week. The medical examiner says 24-year-old Alexander Canoes from Columbus died shortly after arriving at the hospital Wednesday. That fall happened at a residential building on De Loretto Avenue. Officials said there were no witnesses to describe the fall. OSHA has confirmed to News 3 it is now investigating the incident. Law enforcement around Dane County says it's on uptick in car burglaries this past weekend. At least 10 vehicles were also stolen. One caught on video. This is on Milky Way on the east side of Madison around 2 this morning. That vehicle later found on Allied Drive. Police believe this is the same ring of young people who have been stealing cars in the past. Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers got a firsthand look today at a unique all-Wisconsin business partnership. New Glarus Brewing Company and Menasha Packaging announcing the release of a new 24-pack case for the brewery's Spotted Cow brand. Everything from the beer to the cans to the corrugated packaging is made entirely here in Wisconsin.
As a governor, I really applaud that effort and making sure that we do view economic development through a lens of made in Wisconsin, and this certainly is an important one.
A new state report ranks Wisconsin last in the entire nation in the number of schools participating in the federally funded school breakfast program. In Reedsburg, district administrators decided just last week to expand free breakfast to its high school after adding the program to the elementary and middle schools in recent years. Governor Evers' budget plan proposes fully funded school breakfasts statewide. In Washington today, the Democratic-led House Judiciary Committee is serving former White House counsel Don McGahn with a subpoena. This is part of its investigation into obstruction of justice. McGahn was a central figure in the first 2 years of the Trump White House and was featured prominently throughout special counsel Robert Mueller's report. Wisconsin State Patrol has arrested a woman who they say led them on a chase on I-3990, reaching speeds of more than 100 miles per hour this afternoon with a child in the back seat, later causing a crash. First responders tried twice to use spike strips, but they didn't work. Officers called off the chase when they reached a construction zone. 10 minutes later, 4 vehicles were involved in a crash near Stoughton. The suspected driver, who is from Eau Claire, was involved. She was arrested. Her 8-year-old passenger was taken to the hospital as a precaution and then reunited with other family members. Green Bay Police K-9 Pyro made his first public appearance today since a stabbing that almost took his life. His handler, Officer Scott Salzman, getting emotional at a press conference today.
I just wanted to take this time to say thank you. It truly has been amazing, and the easiest way for me to extend my gratitude to everyone here is to come up here, be uncomfortable in front of everyone, and just say truly thank you.
Pyro still recovering. He was stabbed several times. Police say he's coming back to work on light-duty assignments, including drug sniffing and training. Some traffic notes now. Because of the weather today, the Department of Transportation is moving back a traffic switch along Verona Road until tomorrow night. Southbound traffic will move onto the newly completed interchange ramps from Williamsburg Way to Highway PD starting Wednesday through sometime in July. You'll also only be able to turn right from Williamsburg Way onto Verona Road as crews build a bridge there. Also due to the weather in Janesville, the I-3990 northbound ramp to US 14, that's exit 171B. It is rescheduled now to be closed from 6 a.m. tomorrow to 6 a.m. Thursday. Also, all lanes of eastbound US 14 at the interstate in Janesville will be closed 7 p.m. Wednesday until 7 a.m. on Thursday. Miller Park will no longer be offering plastic straws in an effort to reduce waste. In a tweet this afternoon, the Brewers said plastic straws are one of the many items that contribute to the 8 million metric tons of plastic waste that affect our oceans each year. Anyone at the games will still be able to request paper straws. Still ahead, it is a well-known tree in Grant County. When we come back, we checked out an old elm tree for ourselves, why you may want to do the same sooner rather than later. There are millions of trees across Wisconsin, of course. So to tell the story of just one, well, that seems a little crazy. But for thousands of people, a white elm tree in Grant County is so much more than just bark and branches. Dave Caulfield has much more on the Mount Hope tree and why you might be running out of time to see it.
It's been described as a beautiful beacon.
It's unbelievable.
A legendary landmark.
It stood here forever.
And a stoic symbol.
You're a lone wolf, you're doing your own thing, but still standing out.
This is not just any old tree. It's the Mount Hope tree.
Every time I drive by it, I just really like seeing it.
Kelly Engsberg lives in Madison, but passes by the icon every time she goes to see her mom in Prairie du Chien.
We snap a picture of it and send it really quick, and then she knows that we're about 20-25 minutes away from being home.
There's much to Mount Hope at the tree, I guess, but that's what we've got.
Dick Lambert isn't kidding. The town in rural Grant County has less than 200 people living there. Lambert runs the only bar and restaurant in town, Homigan's, named for his life's journey out of and then back to Mount Hope. The tree on the side of US 18 has been standing since he was a kid.
When we were in school, we had to run, and they would send us out to the Mount Hope tree and a ball diamond over here that's no foot longer here, and we had to run that. So that was kind of our goal, to run out to the Mount Hope tree and back. So that wouldn't happen anymore.
No one really knows where the Mount Hope tree came from. Local legend says that it was part of the Beautify America campaign started by Lady Bird Johnson in the 1960s. Regardless of where the tree originated, it holds a special significance in the hearts and minds of everyone who passes by.
For Kelly Engsberg, the tree has brought her family closer together. It's the #1 topic of conversation at reunions and get-togethers. She makes sure to wave to the Mount Hope tree every time she sees it.
It's like an old friend that you just really love seeing when you run into them, wherever it may be. But you always know that that friend is going to be right there.
And Engsberg isn't alone. Far from it, in fact. The Mount Hope tree has its own Facebook page with almost 3,000 admirers. It's a place for fans to show off the photos and paintings they have of the illustrious elm. Over the years, the tree's popularity has branched out far beyond southwest Wisconsin.
Guys from 1,000 miles away stop and say, where's this Mount Hope tree? So quite a symbol, it is. We're glad we've got it. Hope it stays forever, but I don't know.
But sadly, you're running out of time to see this symbol for yourself. The tree has faced hardships seemingly since the start, dealing with inadequate soil conditions, years of herbicide from nearby fields, and a less than ideal location. But a few years ago, a sleepy driver accidentally took a chunk of its trunk.
A couple years ago, there was a guy coming from, I think in Utah, I don't know, going to Milwaukee. So how many miles that is, and he ran off the road and hit the tree. I mean, he had 800 miles to miss the tree, but he hit it.
The final nail in the coffin, possible Dutch elm disease.
Well, you'll see like a white bark, and it'll start falling off real rapidly.
Gary Sprague has been taking care of trees for more than 30 years. Along with his brother, he's doing everything he can to try and save the staple of southwest Wisconsin. However, especially if Dutch elm disease is the diagnosis, there's not much that can be done.
That's a big if, because if it would get that, and it'd be dead by the end of the year.
That forecast is devastating for fans like Kelly Engsberg.
To have to cruise past that section and not see it will kind of feel like I've lost a friend or a loved one. You know, it will be like, oh, I kind of wish you were here.
For now, against all odds, this guardian of Grant County is still standing. And maybe that's why so many people connect with this tree. Through life's ups and downs, a lonely tree that was never supposed to be perseveres and continues to inspire all who pass by to find beauty in the simple things, to never give up hope, and to keep on going.
It's kind of like gotten beat up and it's still hanging out, watching over southwestern Wisconsin's rolling hills. I think that's cool.
For News 3 Now, I'm Dave Caulfield.
The Department of Transportation owns that stretch of land on which the tree stands. They say they won't touch the decades-old tree unless it becomes a traffic hazard. We turn to your forecast now, and many of you heard the rumbles of thunder and plenty of lightning out there, and
a little bit of hail
down through. Was there some hail as well?
Yeah, mostly pea-sized hail reports that we saw, but things are starting to wind down now. Let's start out by taking a look at high-resolution Doppler, and you can see, and we got it zoomed in over southeastern Wisconsin. Looks like the heaviest thunderstorms right now are right about over Whitewater, extending down to just to the east of Beloit. These are heading off toward the northeast. This cone shows you how far that storm is expected to travel over the next 30 minutes. The little diamond shape indicates the potential, at least, for some small hail with that storm. But as we put the radar into motion, you can see the flashes of lightning. They are all now pretty much to the east of Madison. There are some showers that extend back toward the west. These will continue to move eastward and should probably be out of here by about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Rainfall amounts, there were a couple of bands of heavier rain of about 1 inch or more from around Prairie du Chien, right along the Wisconsin River through Lone Rock, and then up through Portage and into parts of Marquette and Green Lake counties, and then also from just east of Madison toward Watertown. But outside of those areas, you can see if you go north or south just a few miles, you're down to less than 1/4 inch of rain. The time lapse from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville, you can see the ominous clouds coming in, a couple of showers, one right after another as the showers and thunderstorms roll through, and then some breaks in the clouds towards sunset. The WISC Skycam looking off toward the west, you can see how these heavier thunderstorms rolled on through here between about 6:30 and 7:30, dumping some brief heavy amounts of rain, but then those rolled on through. And the live view from the Edgewater Sky Cam in downtown Madison, this is looking back toward the southeast, just showing cloudy skies. Haven't seen any lightning on there for a while. High today 77, the low 55, but that 55 is our current temperature. The rain has cooled us down. 56 was the early morning low. Winds now have shifted to the north-northeast at 10 miles per hour, and because of that, we will see a cooler day for tomorrow. High temperatures today were in the upper 70s. A few places touched 80 degrees in southern Wisconsin, but notice to the north and west, temperatures didn't get out of the 40s over far northwestern Wisconsin. Superior barely hit 40, and they're right around freezing right now. That cold front has come through, and winds are shifting around to the northwest. The upper level winds right now are going to take the storm off to the east. You can see the winds come in from the northwest just briefly, but then we'll see another warm up as we head back into Wednesday with high temperatures climbing perhaps into the mid to upper 60s. So overnight, look for the showers to gradually come to an end. Thunderstorms east of Madison will end in the next hour or two, low 47. Tomorrow will turn mostly sunny, a little cooler than today. High temperature, though, still pleasant at 62 degrees. On future track, the rain moves out very quickly for tonight. Low temperatures drop into the upper 40s, and then the clouds clear out by mid-morning. High temperature tomorrow around 62. For tomorrow night, clear skies, lighter winds. Temperatures will drop into the upper 30s, but notice out to the west, those winds are already becoming southerly, and that'll bring temperatures back up into the upper 60s for Wednesday. As we look at the 7 to 10 day forecast, look for a high of 68 on Thursday with a shower or thunderstorm chance. Friday, pretty nice day, but then cooler for the weekend. Showers, maybe an isolated thunderstorm on Saturday, the high of 57. Sunday, 58, and then upper 50s for Monday and Tuesday with some rain, maybe a couple of thunderstorms in there before we warm back up into the 60s toward the end of next week.
All right, Gary, thank you very much. So the Bucks sweep the Pistons and earn a little rest now. Before round 2, we'll have the highlights coming your way in sports.
The last time the Milwaukee Bucks won an NBA playoff series, some of this year's graduating senior class in high school wasn't even born yet. The Bucks complete a sweep of the Pistons, their first playoff win since 2001. Giannis Antetokounmpo just keeps doing remarkable things. Watch this one. Off the feed from Sterling Brown. That turns into a three-point play for Giannis, who scored 41 tonight. Pistons play him tough, though. For a while, they were hitting everything like this Blake Griffin three as the shot clock expired. But in the end, the Bucks get a little something from everyone again. Nikola Mirotic chips in with a three. A 17-3 run decides it. Final score, Bucks 127, Pistons 104. Bucks win the series 4-0.
It feels good. It feels good, but we got to, stay grounded on the floor, keep getting better. Each series, each game is going to be harder, and we just got to stick together, and hopefully we can advance in the second round.
It's the Bucks' first sweep of a 7-game best-of-7 playoff series since 1983 when they beat the Celtics in 4 games. And guess who the Bucks get in the second round this year? Yep, the Boston Celtics. They haven't announced yet when the second round will start, but it's going to be a nice rest for both teams coming up. Some roster moves for the Brewers today. Junior Guerra goes on the bereavement list. His dad is very ill, so Guerra went home to Venezuela. Donnie Hart optioned to AAA. Jake Petrichka called back from up from the minors, as is Adrian Hauser, who makes his first major league start as the Brewers play in St. Louis. Brewers were down 3-0 until the bats come alive in the top of the 5th. Ryan Braun, a solo homer. Here's Hernan Perez with a 2-run shot to tie the game at 3. But Hauser is stung by the home run ball, too. Dexter Fowler and Paul Goldschmidt take him deep. The Cardinals then torch the Brewers bullpen, and the final score is Cardinals 12, Brewers 5. The Cardinals pounded out 18 hits. Cubs were off tonight. They'll play the Dodgers at Wrigley Field tomorrow night. It's NFL Draft Week, and the Green Bay Packers appear to be in excellent position to get some pretty good players. The Packers have 2 first-round picks, 3 in the first 44, and 10 picks in all. So who will the Packers take? Well, there's a million mock drafts that have the Packers taking about 1 million different players with those top picks. Packers general manager Brian Gutekunst knows that you can make some hay in those later round picks, too.
There's drafts that I've been a part of where it's been just 2 or 3 guys, and there's been drafts where it's been, in the high teens, But at the same time, and history certainly here has shown the fact that there's always chances to get difference makers throughout the draft, I think back to early in my career when, we drafted guys like, Donald Driver and Tauscher in the 7th round. I mean, those guys were absolute difference makers for our football team in the 7th round.
And 4 new members of the Madison Sports Hall of Fame will be inducted June 5th at Monona Terrace. They include Craig Anderson, the La Follette and University of Iowa basketball star, John Krugman, who was another great athlete at La Follette in the 50s. Peggy McCarthy Bailey was an Olympic rowing medalist, and Mike Plouts won his first Madison Men's City Golf Championship 50 years ago this summer. We'll be right back.
Gary's back. He has a final check of our forecast.
Well, showers and thunderstorms moving through the far eastern parts of our viewing area, mainly eastern portions of Jefferson County. Will be moving out of our viewing area probably within the next half hour or so. Lighter showers may remain, especially in areas north of Madison through the early morning hours. Current temperatures are in the middle 50s here in Madison, still in the 60s to the south, but dropping to the 40s to the north. And we will see a cooler day tomorrow as sun comes back. Look for a high of 62, 67 on Wednesday. Some rain chances over the weekend, cooler for the weekend and early next week.
All right, Gary, thank you. Thanks for joining us for News 3 Now at 10. Have a good night.